All right, here we go again. Buckle up, rough roads ahead. As I said before the conflict started in earnest, there's no reason to fight for land. It's it's not all that important. Now you do need a place to live, and you do need a certain level of peace. Well, I just don't think the world community, NATO, whatever you want to call it, really thought out the conflict. I told you years ago, if Putin built that bridge, that would be it. It's going to be an invasion bridge. So again, uh, during the Trump administration, which is prior to this, I told Trump go and speak to Putin. They're doing the same thing now, trying to overplay it. Now, President Trump has made some crazy statements that really would cloud such a meeting. So that part, it makes it a little more difficult. Well, I think the appropriate way to look at it is they're stuck in a cycle, and a cycle of violence, I guess you could say. Trying to win something. So again, taking that neutral standpoint that maybe something could have been done prior to the conflict to legitimize the negotiations. Again, I'm a fan of the United Nations, but not a fan of corrupt United Nations actions. I support Israel, but I don't support the killing of children. Thank you much. And Israel has, at moments, since I articulated that case, focused in such a direction. You know, the thing is trying to get into my mind again to convince me that all I need to do is just let my body stiffen up and I'd be okay. Okay, it's what did it 4 years ago. Thanks, Larry. So again, the reality is, what is that? That's spells from these people that are stalking me. Spells, incantations, invocations, curses. No, what would have happened is I would have had all my stuff taken care of. I would have went to Philadelphia. I would have got the surgery, and then I would have been in a rehab where doctors would have visited to take care of any other issues that I had. Right. And they knew that kind of thing. They're fighting a person's life so that their life will never manifest well or healthy. My sleep last night was somewhat well, but a little stiff on the one side, which is really not what I want to happen while I sleep. Again, we are now moving into warmer weather. It's still 27 degrees outside. It's just starting to warm up. Tonight will only go down into the 30s. Actually, 38. So we'll get a reprieve from the electric bills and whatnot. Now, I don't know if this weather forecast is going to hold, but boy, it doesn't go below the upper 40s or the other 50s, upper 50s for a while. And some 60s. No, what's happening is I have to go through a period of time to figure out what my back looks like released. And again, I have no idea, other than what I'm explaining as to what happened. Because, I mean, who goes to a doctor and there's somebody in a wheelchair that just had back surgery? You don't even know if it's real with what's going on in my life, right? And then the doctor recommends against it. Well, at this point, I have to isolate whether there's an issue with L2. And again, that's the risk of leaving it. Right? They only tell you that's the risk if you get it fused. That's the craziness. Like, oh, people that don't get it done also have that happen. Right? And they don't have as good a quality of life as long as it's done semi well. Right? Well, my legs would have been more bilateral and I could have received more massage, got everything forward. Again, they're panicking me all day long, which doesn't allow my mind to calm down to make those other decisions. They know they're doing that. That's their thing. I'm removing them from triggering me at this point. The inside conversation is working to destroy them. No, they've done this to millions of people, probably, if you consider the number of people that do it. All right, let's see here. So all the snow will most likely melt today. So what they do is they keep a calendar of your medical appointments, and they say satanic verses over it. They'll say something else. They utter and recite satanic verses over your medical appointments, your hopes and dreams in life. And you spend all day doing that sometimes. They're insane. Never should have had access to anything. So I think the administration would have been better to say, that there's no reason to fight over that land. Also, I get rid of that thing. Although Hamas is mixed in with women and children and non-combatants, the same system that located them could also calculate when they're not specifically in that vicinity. Like an artificial intelligence system. Again, that is what it is. But again, I agree that Hamas should not exist. I've agreed to that for years. They're actually the ones that screwed up the entire peace process. Now, it was interesting. It was an interesting piece on line, the Shah of Iran apparently saying that Israel is a little too strong for its own good and influence. Or not necessarily Israel, but the lobby. Right. And I've said that over the years that they want something so bad that it really is cutting off your nose to spite your face. Right. And so that's a mess. And there's a possibility that I'll actually get a little better from the warmer weather, but it doesn't mean. I mean, this needed to be handled 4 years ago. It would have been a way different life for me. I'm sure they would have figured out what was wrong with my stomach, and I mean, probably would have had all my procedures done while it was the tail end of rehab and all that. Right. But I have to go through this because it's now an intelligent pain management procedure. Well, my back's trying to correct, and it just can't. So it just keeps tightening, right, on one side and like loosening on the other. It's crazy. Now, if I release the right side completely, everything just gets too crazy. Right? It's just too wobbly. I don't know if, again, there needs to be back strength and things like that. But once I put the steroid in it, I might not need, and get the massages, I might not need the magnesium oil, which can cause laxness, right? Which could also be part of the stomach thing. But at this point, my right side is just all too tense. But if it releases completely, then I have a lot of pain in the legs. Now, the question is whether L2 is affected at this point. Again, this is what these cops have been doing all these years. But they'll say it's your mental illness, and that's the effect of your mental illness. No, I mean, obviously, you're not supposed to panic a disabled person all day when the person's disabled because you panicked them all day to begin with. There's no delineation from what caused me to be disabled to the disability. That includes coworkers in the federal government. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know anything about PSYOP like that. I knew it existed, but it's kind of this intangible. Now, one thing you have to be careful of, because I see how how the administration's using words craftily. Again, if I say it, obviously everybody does that, right? But I'm just trying to help you all understand not to be manipulated and not to manipulate beyond a certain political necessity. Right? Staying on the right side of God, I guess, per se. So they say, we're not going to cut any money from people. Okay, so there's going to be no Medicare, no Social Security cuts. We're just going to stop fraud, waste, and abuse. Now, what is that? The definition of fraud, waste, and abuse is the devil in the details. It's like Juden. It's like the Juden concept. That's Juden. That's fraud, waste, and abuse. That's Juden. That's fraud, waste, and abuse. Okay. So be careful of that because, number one, the administration could be manipulated by that, by underlings saying it's all fraud, waste, and abuse when it might be valid, really. Obviously, if Biden didn't send that money to the war, obviously, if Biden didn't spend all that money on immigration, I mean, it got to the point where there was no accountability. They walk in there, tell them they're somebody, and they hop on a bus. For all we know, that's how they're transporting narcotics. We don't know. Or stolen goods. So again, if he didn't send all that money, yeah, that's how the balance gets, the budget gets crazy. And again, you know, all that killing. It's just not good for the planet. Well, we don't know what the bottom line for the Russians is, and we don't know. Right. So obviously, we've all spoken out against one another, back and forth. They're uncovering all the things that we've all said. Now, with me, you don't know what I'm doing because I do run a psyop to counter the psyop. Right. But apparently, Kash Patel was hating on Elon somewhere in history. Well, the problem with my back, one of the things is that it like when the left side wants to tighten up, it just goes and cramps too much. So again, the steroid is supposed to alleviate some of that. And that's probably where I went wrong, I went wrong not getting the surgery, but not being able to get back into treatment process. And again, the idea of getting to my brothers probably would have helped with that. Yeah, I hope it's all healable to a certain degree. Again, if I'd saw what I saw online recently on their websites, I probably would have moved forward with it. Restore your life, and that was his point. That you get back to the things that you enjoy to do. I just healed enough, and it was just so much going on, and again, I was being psyoped. I mean, it was just crazy. Just couldn't get that van pointed east and drive east. Some reason, I think my brother was not some reason. My brother was definitely psyoped, and his, you can come here, you can live in my basement, kind of trailed off. It was getting more and more difficult to think about going out there, and then I looked for an apartment. Even in the last few years, couldn't find one that I thought I could afford. That I thought was healthy to live in. I mean, the cost of living is insane. I mean, if I could have just found an extended stay for I don't even know what cost. I mean, it's just like I think all the extended stays are over $2,000 a month. Right. It's hoped that the epidural will reduce the pain in the buttocks and the legs. I had no idea how. I mean, if you really think of it, it's amazing. And they worked against it because it made them angry, I'm sure. Within 2 months of the injury, I guess, or 3 months of the injury, I had lined up one of the best back surgeon teams in the world. Right. I mean, and had them agree. Could have been done. I couldn't see it. All it would have taken is for me to go towards my brother's house. And I remember feeling like, I just couldn't go there at that point. And again, it was probably real. Again, people don't speak out. But again, this is the interference that I speak about over the years. Now, I need some sort of surgery. I just don't know what is that surgery, how far is that surgery going to fix? He said the other day something that's kind of like scary because he says that the ablation is usually for the L2, which is for the cramping. So the cramping might be from the L2. I don't know. But then again, that was there before too. This has all been like this for 4 years while they played their game. But of course, they played it for like 25, 30, actually 35, 40 years. Now, if I release my right side so it's even with the left, then all hell breaks loose on my legs. So I don't know if, because again, you could have problems when your sciatic nerve is compressed. You can have problems on in your quads too, right? Well, because your rigidity of your legs just right. Like right now, I'm leaving the right side a little compressed, so I don't have that intense pain. But I can move my neck a little bit. It's not real tight like it was when I woke up. That's real nice. This battery really turned out well. It wasn't exactly what I wanted, but I don't know if exactly what I wanted even exists. And it really fired up real nice. I mean, I can bend over and all that. Right. And I can, I'm limber enough and all that, but it's just a lot of craziness for now in the body. Right. So what I'm working on is keeping it all inside for now and minimizing the comments. There it is. Yep. If you're willing that kind of thing in my life, you'll be destroyed every time it triggers. That's it. Well, it's not so difficult to make it warm in here. In the near next few hours, I'm going to have to start cleaning it up again. That side of my neck and my head is just all the way down, to my lat is, my rhomboids is just too tight. Just strange, it's 2 weeks till I get the procedure. It's, right. And then like Friday, it's a curse, but on Friday evenings or Saturday mornings, I'm getting an idea for medical treatment, but there's nobody to call to research it because everybody's not working. This is how they structure your life, or anti-structure. Well, I would pay me, and then, of course, none of what's an issue. I mean, it would still be an issue, but I'd be able to get through it real quick. I mean, pay me, you all owe me. That's simple. So I'm trying to track the Pope, what's going on in his life. Hate him, love him. He does some nice things. Well, I've studied the trans issue. And my conclusion is, it's not their fault. That's first off. But why is it not their fault? What's going on? What can we do? I'm not into forced conversion therapy. I don't believe anybody should be forced in that manner. But what I do believe, is that there's a way out of it. That not every, and I don't know the end result, but I believe that they could. No, it's real. It's real. Again, metaphysics is the beginning of it. I believe that there are treatments to resume birth gender right from the beginning of it. Is healing, metaphysically healing, and that's a lot. That's a lot of procedure. So, let's say you're a staunch conservative and you think it's hogwash, and you think it's the biggest perversion that you've ever seen in your life. You can still cause it if you don't have the right mindset. And you can help heal it. With the right mindset. I mean, especially when they get to the point of removing parts of their body. I mean, that's very, very scary. Surgery like that. Well, it's just a very extreme procedure. I mean, yeah, people use plastic surgery for all sorts of comfort. And again, there's the point of no return on all of that. Well, my injury tracks still tracks the thing, the MRI. The worst impingement is on the left, and that's the weak leg. So, well, the whole thing is, if I had got to Jefferson Hospital to Rothman Clinic, I'd have had their whole team. You know, the rehab, everything. Right. So I would have went through an intensive process of restoring. I mean, they just ripped my life off. I just can't get anywhere. Again, I agree. My brother was operated. Well, I know cops were following him every day. Right. Kill that thing. Metaphysically, that is. Right. And again, my legs could be tired also. So if there's a little bit of discomfort in my quads, it could be from walking around all day. When it's not comfortable to sit. And if I lay, then it tightens up even more. So, because it pushes on that lumbar and then it tries to stabilize, which is what I believe it's doing. They should have been moved away a long time ago. There's no reason that these people are free to do what they do to my life. It's all a scam. I just pick somebody that they get paid to do it to. Pretty much, yeah. So it's self-created. They create people to attack. Bay people should not exist. I mean, it's just insane. They're actually trying to get the person to do something, right? That'll be destroyed. They're willing it up. I'm just trying to like get to the point where I could sit comfortably. Oh. Yeah, that 30, I think it only kicks to like 30 watts or so, but that 30 watt says it goes to 45 watt, but I think that's only on like certain devices. All right, what do we got here? So we're already moving above freezing at 752. Saying we're going to be at 52 today and 63 tomorrow. We'll see. So again, the idea is to neutralize the negotiation. That nobody should be killed, nobody should be fighting this war. And make that the larger goal. And that people should be secure in their lives, in their homes. Right, that too. If something kind of clicked in and said if your left leg fires back up to meet your right leg, then that back adjustment's easier. And then your back, it will adjust probably much better. You should have happened 4 years ago. I was even trying to figure out how to get maybe it's better that I need to get a COVID shot, but I'm trying to figure out how to get a COVID shot. Well, I had COVID once without knowing it, but I mean, I surmised it before the tests were available. It was like, I guess January or something. I believe me, the symptoms are exactly the same. I mean, there could be an outside where I didn't. But I'll tell you, the second time I had COVID really wasn't that bad. It was the actual, like a sinus infection that made it worse. So that was something different. So in the middle of a sinus infection, I caught COVID. Right. And that is pretty bad. So I really, if I didn't have the sinus infection, the COVID was, probably 7 days at the most. I never tested for COVID because I still had the sinus infection. It's like when the fever left, that was it. The coughing was from the sinus infection, the drip. So I really didn't even have much of a cough. So I can't wait to go outside. It was nice to be out there yesterday. Right, and that would, the part that I missed that I'd been in I would have been like, I can see it now. Like I'd been in rehab, the rehabilitation for a couple months, I've seen a lot of doctors, a lot of physical therapists. And, I probably maybe even had some pain management people. And it would have all got somewhere. It would have restored my total being. And this is what they're actually fighting. This is what they're trying to stop. I mean, I whittled everything down to what to a few items that I had in, a trailer full. I have no idea why I didn't just head east when I left Dallas, even. Again, they're there. And what I believe they're doing is they're moving me from one community that they own to the next. Right. Probably the biggest correct in the world. So I had no idea what I was seeing when I was working in the government, that all these people were actually devils. I mean, I had no idea. Now, to them, that's just how you live your life. Well, the problem is if I release the right side of my body, then I have so much trouble in the legs. Right. But it's weird because the right side of the body is tightening up and the left isn't. And the left seems normal. Like that's what it's supposed to be. I just can't believe it's 4 years later and I haven't fused my lower lumbar. Right. Now it gets a little crazy because of the people that are hating on Pope Francis when you try to heal him. They want him dead based upon politics. Now, there's no way that I shouldn't have sought treatment. I mean, they did my head and I couldn't seek treatment. Right. So the only thing I have to do here is get the pain management, and I have to ascertain what nerves are impinged. But it's going to take some work because I have to release the right side of my body while they do that test. Because we're not going to know for sure until it's done how the body's going to structure. Right? But, I need to know whether they see an impingement on L2. This is the risk of what they do to me, but they get paid to do it. Mm. Mm. At this point, I just released it. That's the other point. When you release it, there could be pain in the legs. Well, that's weird. It's not as bad as yesterday. So it might be some fatigue. Thank you, Lord. And well, it feels released, and it feels like there's less issue with the legs and even with the lumbar. So again, I have to go get these procedures. And no, it would have been so nice. I can see it now. Again, they block it, so you can't see. Again, Putin and Zelensky, if they would have seen before the war, they maybe wouldn't have been so quick to enter it. So the idea is to get it back to the idea, because what you're doing is you're I mean, to a certain degree, you're politicizing the thing. Bless you, sir. That's supposed to be inside. I don't think that's them, but they're willing it up to be outside. Now it's part of being psychic, being really psychic. No, what I did is I just kind of leaned over on my bed and stretched my calf, and then my right side released. And my left side's still kind of powered up a little bit. So I don't have that deep offset. So we'll see where this gets to. I feel a little more confident even with the surgeons here. But I'd rather, go to Rothman. And like I said, the crazy part is my brother's having problems with his back. And if I had gotten my surgery before and got it restored and got all the treatments then, I'd be there to help him right now. Right. Though he wouldn't have to run to my mother's place as much. I remember at a certain point, I told him I'm not going to be able to take care of her, and then she's like, "Well, I don't need you to," but I think he wanted me to secretly, you know. And right. Um, but again, if I had got my treatments, if I got to the whole thing, I'd have been well. Right. But I think there needs to be a larger emphasis on podiatry prior to people having back problems. Right. Well, I mean, most people think they can get a store-bought orthotics and it'll be good enough. And, you know, I felt like it was. But I think I needed custom orthotics probably 20 years. Yeah, massage. I brought up massage. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some magnesium oil on this calf. Let's see what happens when I do that. Well, the thing is, I didn't put as much magnesium on my back this go round. So that in itself can cause a lax condition, especially at my age, right? And then be a little bit too much. So again, hopefully the steroid treatment will make it a little more comfortable to sit for the time being. Nah, I probably should have had, again, massage, pain management, and even Santa Fe. But again, when you can't get the massage, well, when I was in Naples, when it really went bad, I should have been recommended. I went to a rehab doctor, and I should have been recommended to immediately to pain management. That would have relaxed my body and would have prevented the catastrophic loss. But again, they were there. They were operating me. They were mad because I was in massage already. Oh. Its right side's still a little too fired up. Stay peaceful. Praise God in all that you do. Praise God.